Hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm really excited to bring on my next guest today because he plays the most patient neighbour I think anybody could wish for, especially with the stars of Two Doors Down. So let's say hello to Alex Norton. How are you?
I'm fine. Hello there.
It's great to get you. I mean, we've had the rest of the cast of the incredible Two Doors Down, and I've said to every single one, I'm obsessed with the show because it's just one of those comedies that it's got such a simple idea, yet it's one of the most funniest things I've watched.
It's
I mean,
great,
every
isn't it?
episode.
Yeah, and it's all in the writing. I don't mean it's all in the writing, we got a great cast, very fortunate. But the writing is so good, just so good. I mean, some of it is so kind of near the knuckle. You think, oh, are you serious? How'd you get away with this? But they do a great job, those guys. It's a wonderfully written show, and I noticed that when the first script for what turned out to be the pilot, we didn't know it was going to be the pilot. It was just I got an offer to do this one-off thing for BBC Scotland for a New Year show, a Hogmanay show, and I thought it was one of the funniest scripts I'd ever read. Really great, and I thought, oh, I'd love to do this. No question about it. And when I saw it, I thought it was terrific. I thought they really did a smashing job. And then the next thing was, the phone rang and agent said, would you be interested in doing a series? Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I've said to the others that were on the show, what I love is every time you watch an episode, you'll notice something different, because whether there's a scene going on with, say, Eric and Beth, Christine will be doing something like a facial expression, or Colin and Kathy are doing something. There's always something else going on in the scene, which I think is incredible because it adds to the comedy.
That's right. Yeah, and the way that's shot, I mean, it was a kind of new way of doing things to me, was to shoot every scene from the beginning to the end. I wasn't really expecting them to do that, but to shoot every scene from top to bottom, from just about every conceivable angle, so everybody's covered, which means that when you edit it, you can cut in any time to watch somebody else's reaction or somebody saying something. There's that total flexibility. So if in the editing process, if you see something that catches your eye, just a raise of an eyebrow even at the right point, you've got it, and you can just edit it in.
Well, I've got so much more about Two Doors Down that I've got written down that I'd love to talk to you about. But I kind of want to go to the very beginning for you, which is where your love of acting came from. And growing up, was that something that you always wanted to be, an actor, or was there something else kind of on the cards for you?
No, there wasn't really. I kind of, when you look back at things, even when I was a boy, the games I played, the things I did, I kind of pretended to be an actor. To be truthful, I pretend to be a movie actor. My life was spent in a movie that I was recording in my own head. I used to love the cinema. I used to go to the cinema a lot when I was a kid. And I distinctly remember thinking at some point, what an amazing job that would be. Imagine that, 1 week you'd be a cowboy, the next week you'd be a knight in armor, the week after that you'd be a spaceman. What a fabulous job to be. But of course, that was a way beyond anything that I could dream of becoming. But I think I dreamt hard enough, and it happened.
So when would you say the kind of big break came, for you then, in regards to being an actor? That moment where you stepped back and thought, do you know what, this is happening now?
Oh, I know exactly when that was. To cut a long story short, I joined when I was like 13. I joined a dramatic society, a youth club dramatic society, an amateur drama thing, and we put on a play for a youth club, Glasgow Youth Club drama festival, and that was 1964, I think it was, and we won. and I was playing the lead in it. And they announced there was a prize for the best actor of the festival. Picture my astonishment when it was me.
Wow.
I had no idea. I didn't even know there was a prize for it. Anyway, I got this, the only thing I've ever won in my life, I think, but I got this prize, got this cup. And there was somebody, there was a woman in the audience for that show who kind of was the secretary at the Glasgow Drama School. And basically she said we run these classes for kids twice a week, Saturday morning and I think Tuesday or Wednesday evenings. Would you be interested in coming along? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. I kind of knew that that's what I really wanted. That was the direction that I wanted. So I joined the Glasgow, the young drama thing. And in fact, Johnny Watson was there as well. We went in the same class, but he was one of those kids too. And what like the BBC would choose kids if they needed something, kids for a production being made in Scotland. They would get the drama college for kids also acted like a kind of agency, so they would go there and say, who have you got? We need 3 young lads and a couple of girls, sort of thing. And so that's how I started acting. When I was 14, I got my first professional job in telly in a series called Dr. Finlay's Casebook, which was a hugely popular Sunday tea time kind of thing on the telly. Blanket viewing, everybody watched it. And I got a part in it. And from a kind of, working class background in Glasgow, I was flown to London. My mother came as a chaperone. You had to have a chaperone. And she was my chaperone. And we were flown to London, stayed in a posh hotel in South Kensington. And I was on the telly. I mean, there was just no way in the world I was going to go back to the idea that my dad wanted me to be, which was a plumber. That wasn't going to happen after that.
And then it all kind of went from there, because you look at the amount of credits to your name is incredible. And you've appeared in some of the biggest films that have been about, be it from Braveheart, Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, what an incredible, that's just insane when you look at that.
I know. And I was aware that it was, what a privilege it was to be in a Disney film. Because when I was a kid and used to go to the cinema, Disney pictures were the big thing. They made the best adventure films, the best comedy films, the best cartoons, everything. Disney were just the best. And to be in a real Disney big pirate movie was my childhood dream come true. Really, it wasn't easy. I mean, actually making the film proved to be kind of problematic. Because I was doing Taggart at the time. I was signed to be doing Taggart. I think it was in this 4th or 5th year. And when I got offered the Pirates of the Caribbean, it was supposed to be being made during the break between series. But as it happened, it extended. There was problems with the weather out in the Caribbean. There was the special effects thing that was going to be done in a tank, a tank that had been built in a harbour, and there was a hurricane, and the tank cracked. They lost all the water, so that my time allotted to do the film extended and extended and extended, and I still hadn't finished it when Taggart started up again, and I had to go to the producers on my bended knees and say, please, 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 can you write me out the first episode so that I can finish this? Otherwise, they're going to have to recast. And that wasn't going to happen. Believe me, that was not going to happen. I was not going to not be in that film. And thank God they did. They changed the episode. They rewrote it. So the episode of Taggart, the first episode of the new series, started with me getting shot, fishing, and I get shot. And I'm out, and all you see from then on, the odd shot is me lying in a hospital bed, with the tubes and the thing going beep, beep, beep. So you could put somebody else in the bloody bed. It didn't matter. But I was away back doing Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, thank goodness they did, because obviously,
Oh,
what a moment. And I mean, talking about Taggart, one of the most successful shows on TV, and it was a massive part of your life for so many years. So when you initially got the part on the show, how did you feel about it?
yeah.
Because it had been going, prior to you joining.
Well, I was in it. I was actually in the early series of Taggart, not as a running character. I came in as the murderer, the butcher, in an early episode called Knife Edge. I think it was the third or fourth episode they did with Mark McManus, the great Mark McManus as Taggart. And it got me kind of noticed. That was a bit of a breakthrough for me, in that, people were saying, oh, what a great performance and all that sort of thing. A really sort of creepy character. And in fact, that turned out not to be the murderer. I was involved in the murder, but I wasn't actually the murderer. But I couldn't walk down the street. It's the first time it ever really happened to me, when I'd be walking down the street in Glasgow and people would point and recognize me. And every actor, whether they say they do or not, every actor wants to be recognized. There comes a point sometimes where you don't, but then it was like, it was like confirmation that you had kind of arrived. So yes, I did that. And then, I knew that Taggart was such a huge success and meant so much to Glasgow and Glaswegians. And when it was offered to me, at first, the first thing was my agent called me up and said, would you be interested in doing Taggart, taking over a part in Taggart? And I knew that the guy who played the pathologist had passed away not long before. And I thought, oh God, you want me to be the pathologist? I don't really fancy doing that. Kind of, there's always some guy who's poking at dead bodies with his biro. And then, I don't think. I said no. I said, listen, I've thought about this. I really appreciate it, and it'd be good to have a steady income. But I don't think, thanks and no thanks. I don't want to be the pathologist. And she said, oh, no, it's to take over as the lead detective. What? I really didn't see that coming. I said, are you sure? Are you serious? Yeah, that's what they want to talk to you about. And so that's how Taggart came about. And excited as I was, I didn't really start jumping up and down until my name was on the contract. I thought, this is too good. Just don't be prepared. If this doesn't happen, for whatever reason, if this doesn't happen, be prepared for it. And then once I'd signed the contract, then my wife and I were dancing around the kitchen. And I knew it was going to be a game changer. And it was, it really changed my life a lot.
Well, I mean, most importantly, I mean, you had been in so many things prior to that, but it definitely made you a household name, because with an ongoing series like that, you're in people's living rooms for so many years. We feel like we almost know you, because we're seeing you, every kind of episode. So was that a weird scenario to suddenly be catapulted into that kind of fame?
It wasn't as weird as I thought it would be, to be honest with you. I knew, because I did a few episodes of Dr. Philly's Casebook after the initial one that I did. And I knew that Bill Simpson, who played Finlay, had told me that people would write to him with medical problems because he was Dr. Finlay. And I thought, God, is that going to happen to me? Are people going to write to me asking me to find a lost cat and stuff like that because I'm a detective on the telly? But no, that didn't really happen. Unless they hid the letters from me, I don't know. But it was, I mean, most people who kind of recognized me in the street and stuff like that were generally very complimentary about the show. I didn't get the kind of, oh, yes, you're off a telly, pal. You do get that sometimes. But most people say, oh, listen, really good. They're really good in that show, son. They still call you son in Glasgow, no matter how old you are. I was like in my 50s, they're going, well done, son. Son, that's great. The only place in Britain, I think, where that happens.
How did you feel when the show was, it was announced it was finishing, because it was such a popular series? So what was that like for you, with it being such a big part of your life, and then you find out that actually that they're stopping the show?
Well, I was kind of ambivalent about it, to be honest. I did it for 8 years, and that was great. It was, 8 years was, it wasn't easy because my family were in London. I lived in London at the time. My family were in London, and I had to go up and stay in Glasgow pretty much on my own, away from the family for the time we were shooting. I managed to get down most weekends to see them, but it was like being an absentee father. So it wasn't that easy to do it. So when we did the 8th series, I was starting to feel maybe one more, maybe 2 more at the most, and then I'll maybe think about letting somebody else do it unless they get rid of me. But the thing is, we didn't know it was going to finish. We finished the series 8, and had the usual thing at a party, and they were great. See you all next year. And then we just never had another thing. Nobody. In fact, I'm still waiting for the phone call to say, by the way, the series is finished. Nobody called in. There was no phone calls, no letter saying thanks, but that's us done now. Cheerio. Nothing. It just kind of vanished. And the reason, I don't know all the reasons, to be honest with you. I don't know all the ins and outs of what happened, but it was nothing to do with the fact that the show was tired and nobody was watching and the viewing figures were going down. The viewing figures were as high as they'd ever been, and the show was selling to lots and lots of countries all over the world. There was some kind of I don't know what it was, shenanigans going on with STV and ITV, the parent company, about finances, because ITV financed a lot of the production of Taggart. And they fell out, basically. STV, Scottish Television, and the parent company, Independent Television, ITV, had a falling out, and there was no more money to make Taggart. So despite the fact that it was a real earner, a fantastic earner, it just vanished. And I heard, I've heard, over the years, I've heard sort of the odd rumor that they might be bringing it back, and I'd be great. I hope they do. But no, not with us. I mean, we've been the old policeman's home, so it wouldn't be with us. But the last one I heard was that they were thinking of bringing it back with Taggart's daughter, and that's not as daft as it sounds, because in the original series, Mark McManus had a daughter. I think she was only little at the time, a young girl. So sort of round about now, she would be a grown-up woman. And the idea that she comes back to take over the murder squad is not only just a good idea, but it also means that there would actually be somebody called Taggart in a show called Taggart for the first time since Mark McManus. No, they decided to keep the name. When Mark died, when he sadly died, Robert Love, who was the producer of the show, told me they sat down and thought, well, what do we do? Do we just pull the plugs? Or do we keep it going and call it something else, like Taggart's Patch or Taggart's Beat or something? And in the end, they thought, well, the brand name is Taggart. Everybody knows it. So we'll just keep that name, Taggart. And despite the fact there was no Taggart in the show, it was still called Taggart. So they could, if they bring it back with his daughter, at least they get justification for calling it Taggart there.
Wow, I mean, if they do bring it back, the script's going to be good because they've had a decade to work on that. So we would expect good things.
Yeah. They could bring me in as this kind of elderly consulting. Nobody gets stuck in a case. I can come in and help them. I'll be happy to do that.
I mean, well, hopefully we want to keep you on Two Doors Down, because I said to Elaine that was on the show a couple of weeks ago that the Christmas special was one of the most watched episodes yet, with over 3 million people tuning into this, and it was one of the best.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know what the figures were.
Yeah, over 3 million. And it was such a shame, because I know a lot of people on the fan pages agree with this. It should have been shown on Christmas Day, because TV for, in the UK, it was so limited. And then you've got this incredible Christmas special, which you've done under amazing circumstances. And it was 3 days after that we got to see it, which was a shame.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Well, they don't consult us about stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it should have been on Christmas, but the schedules are fixed pretty much in advance. So I guess we're lucky to get it done at all.
Yeah.
And I did think it was a good thing to get it done, because I'm sure the rest of you told you the show had been put back and put off. You know, it was 2 years since we did it, and you start to think, well, people must think like Taggart has gone west. You know, when is it coming back again? No, it's never coming back again. You know, 2 years is a long time, and so to do even just that one-off, that Christmas special, was great to remind fans of the show that we were still there, and we're still doing it, and we're going to do some more, hopefully in March of this year.
I mean, it's one of those shows where when Jonathan mentioned it's delayed slightly, but it's one of those shows that each series gets better and better, and the stories are just fantastic. And what I love, there's always a reason why everybody's in your house. I mean, Eric just wants to have a relaxing life. You know, he wants to eat his food and watch TV, and there's always that knock on the door, and you see the shadow. It's either Colin and Kathy or Christine, and he has such a hard life, doesn't he?
He does it, but a bugger. I mean, you know, if it was me, I would tell them to go and chase themselves, or what's to that effect. But you know, poor Eric has to sort of put up with it. And the thing, you know, we talk about this as in the cast about our reactions to things. You know, why would you put up with this stuff? Why wouldn't you suddenly just flare up and say, right, everybody, get out of here? And of course, well, you do it because it's comedy. If we did that, there wouldn't be a show. But it's the thing is, I suppose the characters like each other. You know, Eric and Colin are pals. Yeah. And then when we did the first series, there'd be bits where we'd have maybe an episode where we'd have a big row, a big fight. And you think, well, we've still got to like each other. We've still got to be pals and let people know that we're pals, and we can have a bust up and a fallout. But we get back together again because basically, you know, we do like each other. And as long as you keep that in mind throughout the series, you can pretty much get away with anything. You know, Kathy can go off her head, but next week she's back in again in the house and can off her head again. You know, we forgive. We're very, very good at forgiving them.
What I love about Eric, he's the guy that just innocent. He's so innocent, but he gets dragged into situations. And one of my favourite scenes is when Colin has been caught in a lap dancing club, and you're all having lunch, you're all having Sunday dinner, and then Colin asks Eric, you know, you've seen topless people at the beach. There's nothing sexual in it. And you look, it goes over to Eric, who's kind of crumbling, and he goes, "Well, no, it's just a wee bonus." And then it goes over to Beth's face, and it's brilliant because you're put on the spot, and it's the way that you play it, and you have these lines. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I know. It is good, and again, that's all in the writing. But I remember thinking when I saw the first script that this is like a Mike Leigh play. You know how good his stuff, like Abigail's Party. Mike is such a good writer at writing that kind of stuff, social embarrassment. I thought this is that kind of thing, and I love that sort of thing. And I love the idea of people like Eric being put on the spot, and that little moment of, you know, you saw a naked woman, didn't you? Well, I might have. Yes, I did.
And what I love is Eric and Christine, because Eric gets so frustrated that she just comes in, she's demanding, she always wants something, and Christine isn't really a fan of Eric. You can tell there's kind of that, oh, he's here. And it's his house. He has a right to be there. But it's when he answers the door, she's frustrated that you're even in the house. And that's what I love. That she...
I know. Well, it's like, I've always thought she's like his mother-in-law. She's not, not at all, but, you know, oh God, it's the mother-in-law. And it's Christine. So I've always played it with that in mind. You know, because you can't really tell your mother-in-law to get lost. You have to kind of tolerate it. That's very sexist. I know you shouldn't say these things there, but you know what I mean. In the old-fashioned kind of music called, you know, to the one, she's the mother-in-law from hell, and so I have to kind of you just have to put up with it for Beth's sake, and make the best of it.
So I'm not sure if you know, but we've had Dune, we've had Elaine and Jonathan on the show, and every time they've been on, we give them a little quiz about their own character. They get 10
All
questions, and
right.
we see how well they've done. Now,
Okay.
Dune got 10 out of 10. She knows Kathy inside out.
Uh-huh.
Jonathan, not so good. He got 5 out of 10. And Elaine got 6.5.
Okay.
So we're going to see how well you know Eric. So what did
Okay.
Eric say he wanted to be when he was growing up?
Oh God! You know, I remember the episode. What did he say he wanted to be when he was growing up? Was it something to do with trains?
So the
Give me a clue.
response. So Christine comes back
No.
with a really good one-liner.
Oh God, no, I don't remember.
So
I
it
really
was
don't remember.
it was an astronaut, and then it goes over to Elaine, yeah, and then Christine says, "Christ, a rocket would never leave the ground."
Oh, that's it. I remember that. Yeah, that was very, very funny. I remember that.
Where did Beth and Eric go on holiday? So just before that, you were injured in a hot tub and your leg was in cast.
That's right. In the hot tub. I remember. I can see it. Where did they go? Mallorca?
It was Turkey.
Mallorca?
Turkey.
Yeah.
What did Eric call Colin after they fell out?
What? We actually shot the scene with our own holiday, lying in a lilo in an outdoor pool, somewhere just outside Glasgow. I think it was in Renfrew, and it was bloody freezing. We meant to look like, passed me the sun cream stuff, and in my shorts, and it was perishing.
That's amazing.
I had to get tan makeup on. It was blue.
Well, we got the next one
Right,
now for you, which is, what did Eric call Colin after they fell out during a game of darts in the garage?
Oh, I was thinking of that one, that game of darts. Oh no, God, what was it I said? You're a something to do with cheating. You're a cheating wee.
Yes.
Something.
Cheating wee.
You're a cheating wee shite.
It was cheating wee Fanny.
Oh, Fanny, that was it. Yes, I knew it was something to do with the nether regions. Yeah, cheating wee Fanny.
What did Eric do in series 1, episode 1, that really upset Beth? So he was drunk, he came back from a game of football, and he did something which was in the first episode of series 1.
Oh, not the pilot, you mean? The first episode of series 1?
Yeah, not the pilot, the first episode in series 1.
Okay. He just about ate everything in the fridge.
Yeah, and what did he do?
Is that right?
Yeah, but he did something. Beth came down and noticed something had happened.
Oh God, what was it? I remember playing the scene. I remember coming in and opening the fridge and just cramming as much as I could in my mouth.
We'll give you the point for it because you're close enough. But he actually left the freezer open, which meant they had to invite. Yeah, they had to invite all the neighbours over.
Everybody had to come in. Yeah, well done.
We'll give you the point for that. What happens to Christine that results in her and Sophie having to spend the night at Eric and Beth's house? It's got to be one of the funniest scenes in the whole series.
Part of her ceiling falls in.
And there's an incredible line where she's in the house covered in all this dust, and Eric walks past and says, "Oh, I've been at the home bacon again, Christine."
That's right.
Absolutely brilliant. So there we go. We've got 2. What did Christine do that caused Eric to get a bloody nose?
Oh, I know that. It was Colin and Eric are playing that tennis game.
Yeah.
Where the tennis balls fixed to a pole, and they've got Braveheart makeup on. They're the kind of Mel Gibson thing, Scottish blue and white on their faces. And the ball, it snaps, and the ball goes into Christine's garden. It's at night, and so they tiptoe. They don't want to disturb, wake her up, or have to engage with her in any way. So they're tiptoeing around the garden. And and she hears the noise, and she opens the door, the back door, and I stand out. We're trying to hide in the shadows, and then I step back and go, "Hello, Christine." And she hit me in the face with a baseball bat.
That's got to be one of the best scenes, and that's where we saw Eric's sarcasm really for the first time, and you just played that so brilliantly, that the way that you were so frustrated about it. It was just, yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes.
I remember trying to talk them out of it, saying, look, you know, guys, if she really hit me in the face with a baseball bat, you know, fracture my skull. Can we not make it a big frying pan or something? But they were insistent with the baseball bat, and it did work. I have to say, it did work.
Well, this one now is just, it's hilarious. In a family portrait gone wrong, Eric's private area was seen, and they had to cover it up with a sticker of a footballer. But who was the footballer?
Oh, no. Who was the footballer? I can see it, I can picture it. Who was the footballer? You know, the reason it probably doesn't stick in my head is because I know nothing about football. I've never been a big football fan, despite coming from Glasgow. And in fact, that's one of the reasons I had to leave Glasgow, was the shame of not supporting either Celtic. Who was the footballer? Who would it have been? Was it Georgie Best?
Ali McCoist.
No, it wasn't George Best, was it? Ali McCoist. There you go. Ali McCoist.
This at Michelle and Alan's housewarming party, what did Eric do that infuriated Beth and led to him having to apologize to Michelle? So what did Eric do?
Peed in the flower bed.
Correct. Absolutely brilliant. What caused Eric to lie on the sofa after a trip to the hospital?
He had sore bum, and to be more specific,
no, that's correct.
Colonoscopy.
He did.
Yeah, that do.
And they're all, you know, you're lying there. They're all probing you. They're listening to you go to the toilet when all you want is to relax.
Just leave me alone. I've got a sore bum. Yeah. No, in a colonoscopy, just a wee kind of procedure, and they cut. The nurse cut a bit of his bottom as they were pulling the thing back out again. So that's why he'd stitches up his jacksie, and that's why he was lying there with his bum in the air. I thought that was, for me, that was one of my favorite episodes. It was so funny. Just not because, I'm not saying because I was, but the writing, I thought the writing was sublime in that episode.
It's Kathy, when she probes you all the time, and you just, it's like she sees you as a big baby, and the way that she treats you in that episode is brilliant.
Yeah.
So that was question number 9, and you're on 5, which is the same as Jonathan Watson. So if you get the next one right, you would have beaten him. So this is your last question. What caused everyone to wake up at night, resulting into everybody going into Beth and Eric's house, and they were having egg rolls, bacon rolls? You were watching the shipping forecast. So something made everybody wake up.
Burglar alarm. Yeah, it was either a car alarm.
Car alarm.
I think it was a car alarm.
Yeah, so you got 6 out of 10. So you beaten Jonathan.
Yes.
So there we go. So and you know, one thing I did want to ask you, which I remember in one of the episodes. Now, obviously, Taggart was a big part of your life, but actually, when Gordon's parents come over to see Beth and Eric, they actually reference Taggart, don't they?
I know.
Was that weird?
I thought that was very creepy.
Was that a surreal thing?
Yeah. I you know, the thing about sitcoms, contemporary comedies on the telly, it's like people very rarely, it's like they live in a parallel universe where they don't talk about, they don't seem to watch the same programs the rest of us watch. They never sit down usually and discuss EastEnders. You know, if you're on a soap opera, they don't say, did you see EastEnders last night? Because it kind of breaks, you know, in the theatre you have this mythical thing called the fourth wall. There's a kind of wall between you and the audience that's invisible. And it's like that, I think, on the telly, you kind of, you break the fourth wall if you start talking about, did you see that comedy that was on last week? And the audience go, well, wait a minute, they're in a comedy.
Yeah.
How does that work? So it's that kind of complication. So you tend not to do it. But the fact that it wasn't just they mentioned another TV program, the fact they referenced Taggart, I wasn't against it, and I certainly wasn't going to try and prevent them. But I said, is it really right, to cut to me? Because obviously people are going to go, oh, he was Taggart, and you've broken the fourth wall there. But I said, could I maybe instead of saying anything, could it just be a raise of the eyebrow? So it's like a wee hint. Yeah. All right. That was a. But no, they wanted the line, and I think it worked fine. Actually, I think my fears were unjustified.
Well, we're all looking forward to the fifth series, and I think it's going to be the biggest series for you because you'll be aware that the show's got bigger and bigger during lockdown. People are finding it on the BBC, and it was one that somebody told me to watch. And when you watch it, you think, wow, why isn't this on BBC One? Because it's just one of the funniest comedies going, and it's so simple, yet you can remember every episode and the little things that happen. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Unlike me. No, I think I can remember every episode, but in detail, nah.
6 out of 10. That's not bad. You're beating Jonathan. And you can tell that you love the show. And what's been great, we've had all the cast members come on the show now, and they have so much fun. And you knew a lot of the cast before. I know that Elaine said that she knew you. Years.
We'd worked together. We've known each other for 100 years. And I'd worked with Elaine as an actress, and as a director, I've directed her in a couple of things, and I get a huge respect for Elaine. She's an amazingly talented person. The last thing I directed her in, I was going to say the last thing was Shirley Valentine. I directed her in pantomimes up at Aberdeen for a few years. But the big thing was I directed her in that one-woman show, Shirley Valentine. The movies isn't a one-woman show. There's, opens it up. But if you go and see the stage show, it's just one woman. And Elaine and her husband Bob bought the rights to do it. Rented the rights to do the show, and we both worked on it just to make it more Scottish. Set it in Glasgow. Didn't rewrite it or anything like that. But we just changed some of the references and the patter. So it was Glaswegian, and I'll never forget it because she was the most fantastic Shirley Valentine. She was perfect. She was exactly the right age and gave it exactly the right performance. I cannot think of anybody, and I mean it seriously, I can't think of anybody who could have done that better than her. She was absolutely fantastic in it. Anyway, we have known each other for a long time.
Yeah, she was talking to us about that, and because I didn't realize you were a director as well until she mentioned that in the interview. So I mean, you kind of do everything: the writing, the acting, comedy. You've done the full circle.
Anything to earn a living. Simple as that. No acting jobs on. I better write something.
Well, I grew up with a show that I loved, which was called Waterloo Road, which of course you starred in a few episodes of Waterloo Road, and I always remember you.
I think I starred. Yeah. No, I didn't star in that. I mean, I came in because they had this ridiculous idea of relocating the whole school from wherever it was set before. I don't know, I never watched it, but whatever it was in the south of England or the north of England, I think it was, and then moving it all up to Greenock, and for the simple reason they could record it, they could make it more cheaply there, and that was the reason. But the reason they gave was some ridiculous kind of daft reason about why the school was moving from whatever the location it was in up to Greenock in Scotland, and why all the pupils were coming up. I mean, pupils at a school, who the hell would leave their homes and their parents to go and go in a school in Greenock? It was absurd. Anyway, never, that aside, they asked me to play the headmaster of the local secondary school, who was the kind of opposing number, you know, and he was opposed to them opening up the school. So I think I did about half a dozen episodes at the most, and it was good. I mean, I enjoyed doing it. It was great, but I was also happy that I wasn't doing the whole run of the show. You know, that 6 was plenty for.
Well, we're all excited for the next series. I know with the current pandemic, it's being put back, but hopefully we'll get it this year, and we'll get some laughs, because that's what everybody needs. And I mean, you've done that on iPlayer. You'll be well aware of the figures. It's been impressive.
Is it?
Really? Yeah. It's the kind of every time you go on there, it's highly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's great. I mean, I knew it was doing well, but I don't tend to follow these things, you know, to look at the viewing figures. And the, what do they call it again, the market share and all that. I don't understand. It was all grown up stuff, but I know it was doing well, and that's great, because the thing that I always try to keep in mind if I'm offered a job is, would I watch this if I wasn't, you know, they're asking me to be in this, if I was being objective, would I like this? Would I think this was funny? Would I think it was good? Whatever. And Two Doors Down passes, you know, fulfills that criteria. If I wasn't in it, I would definitely watch it, and I would laugh as much as anybody else at it. I think it's a great show, and I'm very privileged to be part of it.
Do you watch the show back? So when your episodes are on, do you actually watch it?
I do, but I do. That's the only time I watch. I don't kind of sit and watch them again and again, though. You know, that'd be a bit sad. You know, sitting there during lockdown watching old Taggarts and going, "Oh, that was great! Great days back then. That was me." And and here I am in Two Doors Down. No, I don't do that. But I do watch it when it goes out, because it's the first time I'll have seen it. Same with the rest of us. And I wanted to see how it's gone, how they put it together, how they cut it, which takes they use. You know, because sometimes you do 3, 4, 5 takes of something, and you wonder which one they're going to use. So from that point of view, it's a professional point of view, but it also makes me bloody laugh as well. I know I'm not going to be embarrassed by it. I know I'm not going to cringe when I watch it, and I know whatever, it's going to be good, and it is.
Well, on social media, there's fan pages for Two Doors Down with thousands of members, and every day on there they will post different, you know, Eric quotes or Beth quotes or pictures. Right? They absolutely love the show, and since we've been doing these interviews, we've had so many messages, and people love to hear from you, because this show has just grown massive legs. And yeah, every day I see a picture of Eric yourself, and they put a little quote from you.
Do you know, I did not know that. I had absolutely no idea at all.
Yeah. No idea. So they'll be watching this now, and they'll be, you know, happy to hear from you.
Fantastic. Well, hi everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for asking me on.
Thank you.